The Battle of Kápolna was a battle in the Hungarian Revolution of 1848, fought on 26 and 27 February 1849. The battle ended with Austrian victory and influenced the politics of Central Europe. Franz Joseph I announced the March Constitution of Austria on 4 March 1849. Pretext: Dębinski, the Polish Supreme Commander Laszlo Teleki sent Henryk Dębinski, the Supreme Commander of the Polish November Uprising, from Paris to the Kingdom of Hungary. Lajos Kossuth knew Dębinski well after his Lithuanian retreat. Mad plan, bad tactics. Dębinski's appointment was misguided, because he was introverted, short-tempered, and distrustful. The Hungarian commanding officers did not like it. Dębinski had an argument with Morperchel, stood down György Klapka, and later had an argument with Artur Gorgi. Dębinski's plans were to fight the final battle at Mezőkövesd, but before this to attack the Austrian army at Szolnok. He was so obsessive about his plans that he even refused to attack Franz Schleich, even though Schleich was completely isolated. Dębinski's explanation was that if he did win, Fischgrätz still wanted control in Buda, which meant that the battle plans for Mezőkövesd were null and void. Dębinski stuck to his plan and drew back one of his legions from Petersvara when Klapka wanted to attack Schleich on 24 February. Balance of forces: Fischgrätz saw Schleich army's vulnerable position and the Hungarian army's activity, so he started to move his army towards the river Tisza. On the one hand, Fischgrätz wanted to stop the Hungarian army, but on the other he wanted to make contact with Schleich. But they only communicated through a messenger. Fischgrätz's army had 30,000 men and 165 cannon. The Hungarian, Polish, Italian army had about 43,000 men and 150 cannon, but the Supreme Commander only counted 36,000 men and 136 cannon. So there was a chance that the Hungarians and Poles would win on numbers. But the sticking point was for Dębinski to close-up gather the Hungarian forces. But he did not. On 26 February, at 10 a.m., the Austrian army started to move from Gyalnyos to Tarna, where they met with the Hungarian army. The 1st Hungarian Legion, under the command of Aristide Zsuffi, remained at Verpelet. A small commando from this legion were at Sarok. The arriving Austrian army realized that the Hungarian army was much stronger than they, and after a short fight the Austrian army started to move towards Feldobro. Battle. Demolished bridges on the river Tarna. Erno Poeltenberg and his 7th Legion marched into Feldobro around noon, and at 2 p.m. Poeltenberg moved his legion and crossed the river Tarna. First they fought with Major General Kolorda at the forest of Oldobro. At first neither of the armies could get a decisive victory, but Kolorda got more and more reinforcements, and Poeltenberg had to retreat. Poeltenberg got no news from his messenger, who he had sent to Kápolna, so he crossed the Tarna in the middle of Austrian fire. He demolished the bridges on the Tarna, emptied Oldobro and Feldobro and retreated in the direction of Kariksend. The Austrian army occupied the forest, but they did not cross the Tarna, or occupy Oldobro or Feldobro. In the meantime Dębinski arrived and gave an order to Poeltenberg to go back to the two villages. The next morning Poeltenberg was stationed at Oldobro and Feldobro. Belated order: Colonel Janos Mariasi's Dreke Brigade, part of the 1st Hungarian Division, crossed the Tarna at the beginning of the battle and was stationed between the Kampolt Forest and the Kápolna Vineyard. There was a legion available for Mariasi, and with it he tried a covert attack to the rear of Franz Wyss, but it was discovered and repelled. But Mariasi's cavalrymen still managed to blockade the Austrian army. The Hungarian army retreated in the direction of Tarna. The 2nd Hungarian Legion under the command of Marek Kisfaludi was stationed at Kal. Kisfaludi crossed the river after he heard the first cannon fire and attacked the Austrian army. Even though Kisfaludi's army was weaker than the Austrian army, the Hungarian army defended its position and defeated Wyss. Dembinski was in conference with Gorja in Eger when he heard the cannon, and they both immediately went to Kápolna. Dembinski gave an order for the rear army to advance, but only 2 of the legions received the order in time. Thus the legion under the command of Sulch joined together with the legions at Verpilet, and Lajos-Olik's legion advanced to Cal. Sirok Channel. During the night, the Hungarian army's position became worse because Schley took control of the Sirok Channel without a fight, and he was nearer to the Hungarian army at Verpilet. The battle continued on the 27th of February. Wyss's main aim was to occupy Kápolna, which meant that he would cross through the Hungarian army and destroy its right flank, because he knew that Schley occupied Sirok Canal and was advancing towards the right flank. Klapka had to defend Verpilet with only 1 division. Dembinski gave an order to Klapka to reoccupy the Sirok Channel and sent reinforcements under the command of Poeltenberg. At the same time, Dembinski ordered Gorja to lead the Hungarians at Verpilet and stop the separated divisions of the Austrian army coming together. Poeltenberg had just arrived at Verpilet when Schley occupied it, and he tried to attack the Austrian army. Klapka, seeing the Hungarian army's success, tried to reoccupy Verpilet, but it wasn't successful. Ineffective attack. By this time Gorja had arrived in Verpilet. As the commander of the Dzufi and Poeltenberg legions, Gorja held up Schley, but he needed to retreat in the direction of Kriegzend because he did not want the Austrian army to get trapped. Dembinski commanded the Mariasi Legion in a retreat from Kápolna eastwards towards the Tana riverbank and blockaded the bridge too. Mariasi warned Dembinski that defense of Kápolna would be almost impossible, because the Austrian army, who were on the other bank of the river, still controlled Dembishi's side too. Dembinski ignored Mariasi's warning, and started to attack to retake Kápolna. The Hungarian divisions, commanded by Morik Sotter and Cesar Medniansky, were advancing to the bridgehead, but there they encountered the Austrians and capitulated. Mariasi also attacked the Austrians at a pub they were occupying in Kápolna. Because Sotter and Medniansky capitulated, Wyss could concentrate on Mariasi's army and expelled it from the pub. Mariasi tried to retake, but he had to retreat in the direction of Kriegzend. However, the Austrian attack got stuck here, and Windisch Gratz tried a covert attack against the Hungarians at Tofalu. Relief of Supreme Commander. Dembinski drew back the Hungarian army from Cal in the direction of the eastern bank of the Tana. On the 27th of February, Olik's legions defended against the Austrian army, but before he went to reoccupy Kápolna, Olik received an order from Dembinski to advance north and attack from there. Olik was advancing there when he received the news that the Austrian army had defeated the Hungarian army at Cal. Because of this, Olik turned back towards Cal, but before he arrived, Dembinski ordered him to retreat. Klapka's legion's officers didn't want to follow Dembishi's advice unless one of the commanding officers confirmed it. On the 3rd of March, Bertalan Simir arrived at Tisazafyad for a debriefing military meeting where he became the intermediary between Dembinski and the Hungarian army. Simir visited Dembinski and tried to convince him to hold another debriefing. Because Dembinski didn't want to, Simir relieved him of his command and gave his post to Gorji, who became the supreme commander.